Buenos dias, all. RGT85 here. I don't have my face camera on today because I'm gonna keep it real. I was shaving last night and I messed up shaving. I no longer have my mustache. I don't like the way it looked, so I'm not gonna be on camera until I am satisfied. But you're not here to hear about my shaving faux pas. You're here to hear about video gaming news. If this is your first time on the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like and share the video if you really enjoyed the video. But without any further ado, let's talk about what's going on in the world of video games. And it looks like we potentially have yet another big announcement coming to us from Sony this week. Obviously, last week we had the whole PlayStation Plus and the tier system for this. I don't think it's that bad. It's obviously very dependent on what sort of games we get added to the service. For me, I want to see a lot of PlayStation 2 stuff because, you know, that's a system that can definitely use like a fresh coat of paint. You know, some of these games would look awesome being ran on emulators like you obviously have on the PC and things like that. But I'd be willing to support this service if the retro games are really good, because it seems like that's what Sony's leaning into. Yes, you're going to get some newer games on there, but it's not going to be day and date. And you know what? That's okay. This will work for Sony, much like, even though we don't, love it, Nintendo Switch Online works for Nintendo and Game Pass works for Microsoft. It's all about sort of finding your own niche and finding out what works best for your company as far as revenue is concerned, because at the end of the day, these companies just want to make money. But it seems like we're getting yet another announcement this week. Now, this was actually sent out to select people via email, so there was rumors and speculation that this was actually supposed to be revealed last week, probably before the end of the fiscal year, but it did not come to fruition. It looks like this is on track to be potentially this week, and this involves the full reveal of PlayStation VR 2. Now, I am kind of the resident VR guy now. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of a pun, because obviously I bought an Oculus Quest 2 to play Resident Evil 4 VR, and I absolutely love this version of the game. I think it's so much fun. It still feels fresh, even though it's a game that I've played a million times before. Like, I know what to expect. I know what's going to happen. But this VR perspective really adds just a whole nother layer of depth to this. And I think that's what I want to see PlayStation VR 2 bring to the table on the PlayStation 5. Supposedly this is going to be a very strong VR system. It's going to be something that is better than what the Quest 2 brings to the table. So I want to see a solid library of software. I never really got into PlayStation VR on my PS4 because none of the games just really hit with me. You know, the Arkham game, which was more of like an Arkham sort of, simulation more so than actually being Batman. I thought that looked really cool. I was hoping that that would come out on my Quest 2. I guess I could link it up to the computer and run it like that. But I'm hopeful that we get a good library of software. I don't ever think VR is going to be the traditional thing. I don't think that's going to be what everyone goes towards as far as the new medium for playing video games. But I do think VR does have a place in video games because you can make some really unique experiences. And that's what I like to see, experiences. Now, we of course have to wonder about the price point for this, because in this email, it seems like it's going to be like a big full reveal. There'll probably be a YouTube trailer and a big press release, but the price point is going to be very interesting to see, because obviously the PlayStation 5 itself is a $500 system, and the amount of technology they're putting into the PlayStation VR 2, it definitely feels like something that's not going to be cheap. It seems like it has to be at least $400, possibly even $500, which I think would be a very hard pill to swallow for a lot of people. But if the software is there, then you really can't complain. It's just, based on what games come out to it and, what the support is going to be for the future of this. But it looks like this will be potentially happening this week. I'm going to cover it because, like I said, I'm interested in VR. I'm definitely more interested in VR now than I was like a year or two ago. I still don't think it's going to be the be-all, end-all and how we're all going to play video games in the future, but it definitely has a very solid place. You got to look at the apps too. There's a lot of cool VR apps that I feel like Sony could definitely utilize on this and make it a really good experience. But do you even care about virtual reality, like a VR trooper? Troopers 3, go! Virtual reality. That show was good. I don't care what anyone says. Let me know in the comment section down below. And finally, one of my favorite systems of all time is, of course, the Sega Saturn, which gets really absolutely no love on any sort of platform beyond the Sega Saturn. I mean, look, people say that the Dreamcast is the most underrated system of all time. Pish posh. You could play some Dreamcast games like available on Steam. You can't really do that with Saturn games. The one Saturn game that's out there for you to play is like Virtua Fighter 2 and Knights. You've gotten Dreamcast compilations with Sonic Adventure and Crazy Taxi and all these other games. You never get anything on the Saturn. Nobody loves the Saturn except for me, because I was a Sega kid growing up. But it looks like we're getting more Sega Saturn games brought over to the Nintendo Switch, and I'm surprised more people aren't talking about this, because obviously it's a very cool thing. Now, you might remember a couple weeks ago, maybe even months ago at this time, a game called Cotton came out, which was a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up shooter game, and this game was actually the Sega Saturn version of the game. It seems like they built an emulator specifically for the Nintendo Switch in order to run Cotton. So people got to thinking, they were like, yo, if you have a working Sega Saturn emulator that runs pretty damn good on the Switch, why aren't other companies sort of looking into this? Because obviously this is something that a lot of companies could utilize, including Sega themselves, but Sega themselves is not the company that is actually doing this. This company is Taito, and they announced that some new games are coming to the Switch. It looks like this is just for Japan right now. I'm sure that they will come over though to the Nintendo Switch in the US, because I mean, it kind of seems like a missed opportunity if it doesn't, but there are several games coming over. You can look at the picture here. We have Layer Section, Puzzle Bobble 2, Puzzle Bobble 3, Elevator Action Returns, Metal Black, and Cleopatra Fortune. Now, some of these games I am unfamiliar with, but two of these games really stick out to me. That's Layer Section and Elevator Action Returns. Layer Section was actually called Galactic Attack in the United States, and this game released on the Sega Saturn. It's a really good vertical shoot 'em up game that's literally for the Sega Saturn. The Sega Saturn version of the game is going to be involved in this. So that's a big win in my opinion. You know, the Sega Saturn had a ton of great vertical shoot 'em up games. I prefer vertical to horizontal. I don't know why. It's just my brain seems to like those games better. So I'm really excited for Layer Section, or you know, Galactic Attack as it's known in the States, because this was a super underrated shoot 'em up game on a system that had a bunch of great ones. And then Elevator Action Returns. Once again, this was a Sega Saturn game, and I've never really gotten into Elevator Action, but I've seen so many videos on Elevator Action Returns, and I'm like, this game looks really good. This game looks really fun. This is something that I would like to play. So like I said, Taito is releasing a bunch of stuff, and there's lots of Sega Saturn versions within the stuff. They're having musical enhancements added into the game. There's some quality of life improvements, such as like slowing things down and rewinding things, and you even have a quick save. And it looks like there's actually going to be an online ranking system for some of these games, as obviously these are more arcade style games, so it's like leaderboards and stuff like that, and you could change some various difficulty settings. So why is nobody talking about this? Like, we're getting multiple Sega Saturn games brought over to the Nintendo Switch, and nobody seems to really care, but it's like, this to me says a bigger picture of what's going on here, because a lot of these companies still have the IPs to their Sega Saturn games and potentially even have the source code to them. If there's a readily available emulator that it seems like a lot of companies are using now to bring Sega Saturn games to the Switch, this is a huge win, because the Sega Saturn is criminally underrated when it comes to back catalog of games. So while these games might not really tickle your fancy right out of the gate, for me, I'm looking at the bigger picture. I'm looking at Galactic Attack, because I'm going to be playing the hell out of that game. But to me, it's more about the bigger picture, about what could potentially happen in the future, because really one of the strengths of the Nintendo Switch is, of course, this back catalog of games that Nintendo has access to. But now if we could start getting some more Sega Saturn choice cuts, like we're getting a Sega Saturn remake this week on the Nintendo Switch that I will be talking about on Wednesday, and holy shit, that game is good. This is awesome. This is awesome. This is stuff I like to see. Let me know what Sega Saturn games you're hopeful will come to the Nintendo. Like, where's the Guardian Heroes? Guardian Heroes got an Xbox 360 arcade version. Where's Guardian Heroes? Bring all these games over to the Nintendo Switch. It would be stupid good, because you could play these games portably. Portable Sega Saturn. I get very excited. Alrighty, so that's gonna do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, this no mustache thing, it's driving me nuts, dude. Like, I don't know, I don't like the way it looks. Maybe it looks okay. I'm recycling a picture for the thumbnail, because I don't know, I'm just lazy, and you don't get to see me without my mustache. Hopefully it grows back very soon. The growth of the mustache just doesn't seem to be happening right now. Granted, I did shave at like 10 p.m. last night, so I guess I'm not a werewolf, but let me know in the comment section down below what you think of all this stuff. Are you excited for PSVR 2? What sort of games do you want to see? And Sega Saturn stuff coming to the Nintendo Switch. Why the hell is nobody talking about this except me? And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share if you really enjoyed the video. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.